when Indian and Pakistani are sitting in the room, why we should not talk about cricket?
But Afridi, I think, is a bigger star.
I'm interesting to see the comment section after this.
I know.
What is the fundamental difference between studying in Pakistan or Islamabad and studying in European countries? So is it really worth to invest our time and money to study in European institutions?
Absolutely. Why? I'll tell you why.
People started getting now into the binary mode. Either they are 0, either are 1. There is no gray area.
In Pakistan, it's more about the politics these days. I expect from a journalist that they should give us the news, not the analysis.
It is quite evident to all of us that the relations between India and Pakistan have never been good historically, right? But when the individuals from both nations meet in another country like Germany, then we realize that the polarity exists mostly on the political level. In terms of creativity, professionalism and talent, I would say both countries have tremendous amount of resources. In today's episode, I had an opportunity to engage in a conversation with highly talented entrepreneur from Pakistan, Mr. Haris Rahman. Haris has unique background. He originates from Pakistan, pursued his education in Europe, and has gained work experience while traveling through various countries. Along with his startup pursuit, Haris has a well-rounded portfolio that includes European education, corporate experience, and a role as a startup ecosystem enabler. Today, we talked about some serious and some funny topics. We discussed the difference between Pakistan and India. We have talked about the education system. We have talked about quality of journalism in both countries, along with we discussed our perspective of living in Germany. But don't worry, it wasn't all serious. We also had an enjoyable conversation about cricket and Bollywood. I'm confident that you will thoroughly enjoy today's conversation. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode with Mr. Haris Rahman. I'm sure that today's episode is going to be very interesting. I would say super hot and spicy. There are two engineers from two neighboring countries having historical conflicting events sitting in a studio located in Germany. Yeah, so I'm adding the spice basically. It's just then a clickbait for the introduction. But so Haris, I want to ask you, where would you be if you were not here today?
It's a loaded question. If I was not here today, then I probably would have been working right now because there are always things going on the side. And the kind of work that I'm in, I one thing that I enjoy what I do. And so there would definitely be something else that I would be working on, or I don't know, maybe spending some time in the gym if I can. But yeah. So I did my aerospace engineering in Islamabad, and then I was working on my own startup, my first startup. That was my first professional experience as well. And while I was building it, it was a bit slow because that was my first experience. The startup ecosystem in Pakistan back then, it was also non-existent. I did not have the business background, so I didn't really know what to do. I just thought that I have a great product, so I'll be able to make it successful and all that. But it was taking time. It was moving forward, but that was taking time. In the meantime, I got my scholarship, a master's. So I came to Europe, to Stockholm. I studied there in KTH. Then I went to Barcelona. I studied there at Sadeh Business School and UPC.
What is the fundamental difference between studying in Pakistan or Islamabad and studying in European countries? So is it really worth to invest our time and money to study in European institutions?
Absolutely. Why? I'll tell you why. So in my case, it was also a bit different. So when I look at it, I think in back in Pakistan, it was a bit difficult to study to just to pass, and I was maybe one of the lowest in my class in terms of GPA as well. But then I got the scholarship, and normally people think that scholarship is for people who are great at studies, amazing marks like 4x4 GPAs. But that was not the case for me. I believe that if you have a well-rounded profile, you need to be interested in other things as well besides studies. And I just want to add it's also my personal observation. Maybe you can contradict me if you want. Most of the time, students who are good at studies, really good at studies, I see that they just keep on studying and they make a career out of studying as well. They go for PhDs and then postdocs and then academic career, like doing research. And maybe if you have a well-rounded profile, let's say you are interested in other things besides studies as well, I feel that you have more opportunities in that case. At this stage, the books, that's not it. You need to study a lot of other things as well, different cultures, different people, to be able to work with people, to be able to, improve yourself. And I think this never ends. You have to keep learning. Once you start a job, you cannot do a job on the basis of what you studied in your engineering. I mean, it gets you the entry, but after that, to stay there, you have to keep learning.
So it was your well-planned move from Islamabad to...
It was not at all. I never thought about going abroad. It was just, I never applied for any master's program. I wanted to do aviation management master's from Florida, but then I was, working on my startup. So I said, okay, let's be an entrepreneur for a while. But when I got the scholarship, it was all paid for. I didn't have to spend anything from my own pocket. So that was,
it was a scholarship from which institution?
It was InnoEnergy, KIC InnoEnergy. It's equivalent to Erasmus as well. So exactly the same package that is Erasmus Mundus used to get, I got the same one. Your education, your studies were totally paid for. You're also getting a stipend every month, 1,000 euros for your expenses. And then therefore for me as a student, that is more than enough. That was good enough for me.
Okay.
So you don't have to spend anything from your own pocket. Your parents don't have to pay for that.
Okay, nice.
Even your air tickets are paid for. So that was, I think that's what worked in my case.
Because, if I look at my YouTube analytics, majority of user base is located in Pakistan, from Pakistan basically. And I get many questions that whether should we opt for study in Europe, in Germany maybe. And I did not study here, so I am not the most eligible person to answer this question.
Okay.
Because you have studied here in Europe, what would be your advice in 2023? Whether it makes sense?
I would say, first option should be if you can study for free, go for it.
Okay.
Anything that you can study for free, just take it. And if you have to spend money, so take into account that how much would it cost you? How long would it take? What are the options after that? So you need to have something in mind that what would I get to do? Like what kind of doors would that open for me? In engineering, in Europe, especially in Germany, there are well-paid positions, especially in the IT sector. Now, this generative AI, they're very, very well-paid people who know about AI, who have a skill set. And also Gen AI is something that is still new, it's still budding up. So you can be an expert by investing not a lot of time into it. So if you start working on it, if you start spending time, investing time in learning these skills, then I think you can even get a job while sitting in India and Pakistan right away. Because
is it possible?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. You yourself,
I got myself, yes. So
and
I always talk about that, but I was not sure about how is the situation for the Pakistan. Like, how is the hiring directly from?
No, there are also cases, especially in the IT sector, people get hired all the time.
Yeah, IT sector is always the green market. Let's talk about the cost of education in maybe Stockholm and then Barcelona.
In my case, it was free.
It was free because
I know that
for both?
For both of them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, even in Saudi as well. But I know that per semester there was 4,000 euros in Stockholm, similar in Barcelona as well. And then, of course, you have your living expenses that you have to pay. So I was given 1,000 euros a month, which was more than enough. So there are certain buckets that you have to think. Your tuition fee, your living expenses, then how likely it is for you to get a side job.
I see.
That also helps you. I think in Germany, you can get 20 hours per week for a certain duration.
Work student.
Yeah, working student. That sometimes it is enough for you, because you're not living alone. You're living with other friends, other students. You're sharing accommodation. Just take that also as a learning experience of that. How do you behave when you live with other people? And how do you conduct yourself? And I think that's also part of studies. It's a very, very important thing that people need to learn. In Pakistan, India, you're just putting everything on your parents, or you have these maids working for you. But here you have to do everything else.
Everything, yeah. It's similar like India as well. Yeah. Like I always struggle with those household activities, but I'm now used to of it.
Now when I see all this I wouldn't call them startups. They're like scale-ups, and they're bigger companies like Gorillas and Volt
Blink,
and all these delivery services. I see a lot of students. They are making some decent money just working in these companies, especially in bigger cities. So I think jobs are there, especially with these startups. Other than that, I think Amazon also offers this warehousing jobs. So there are opportunities, but of course, there's nothing full time that you can count on. But this should be good enough for you to make new friends and just make some extra money.
I guess 2 months before, I was in a party, and then there were few German friends, and one of the guy, he asked me, like, whenever I look at the delivery boys, I always see Indian guy. Why it is like that?
Because they're hardworking.
Because they're hardworking, and when you look at not only the delivery but also in the different fields, you'll also see those people.
Yeah, maybe in Google and
Exactly.
Microsoft CEOs as
So again,
well.
it's like a stereotyping, but
Yes.
yeah.
So when I completed my master's, I went back to Pakistan because I was doing an internship with a Berlin-based company, and they had some projects in Pakistan. So I decided to go there, spend there a few months, and then when my internship ended, then I was looking for jobs, trying to do something. But I realized that your master's, at least for me, my learning, let's say my learning process did not really get to that point where I could do something there or build something of my own. And also when you go back from Europe, it's a little difficult to adjust. You're always comparing. Then when I wanted to come to Germany, I came here on a job seeker's visa. A job seeker's visa is a visa that you get for 6 months. You have to block, back in the day, you had to block like 4,000 euros for that 6 months duration. And you were supposed to find a job within those 6 months. Since I had European degrees, I'd studied there, so it was a little easier for me to get it. Then I came here and I got the job in the second month. So that's how I landed here in Berlin.
And then you can convert your job seekers visa to the work permit then.
Yeah, once you have a job, then you get the work permit.
Since how long you are here in Berlin?
So since 2015 December, it's going to be 8 years
it's
end of this
big
year.
period.
Yeah.
So you already have the permanent residency or citizenship?
Yes, I have permanent residency.
Permanent residency. What is the difference between permanent residency and citizenship?
Permanent residency, citizenship, you have a passport, so you are a national. With permanent residency, you have freedom of economic activity, so your visa is not dependent on your job.
Okay.
If you don't have a permanent residency, like a blue card or another work permit, then your visa is dependent on the job, on your employer. And if you don't have a job, then I think you get a certain period of time within which you have to find another job, otherwise the visa expires.
And is it easy to get permanent residency?
In Germany, I think when you come here with a highly qualified category, it's so after 21 months, if you know the language to a certain level, I think B1.
B1, yeah, right.
You can get a permanent residency.
True.
If you don't know the language, then you can get it after 33 months as a highly qualified worker when you have a blue card.
Blue card, yeah.
Yes.
True. I also got my PR after 33 months because I did not take the chance of learning the language. But yeah, how do you find Berlin?
I love Berlin. I love Berlin. It's Berlin. Whenever you talk to friends and people about it, and you say that Berlin is not a city, Berlin is a vibe. And once you're here, it's unlike any other city I've lived in. Stockholm was different. Barcelona was totally different. Berlin, sometimes it's a blend of both of them. You can do anything you want. There are also opportunities. One thing that I love about Berlin, one of the reasons why I love Berlin is because I can get by here with English. So, you don't really like German is...
It is not necessary for you to learn the language.
But of course, after some time, you need to learn the language to be able to keep progressing.
True.
But there are cities in Germany where you have to know the language just to be able to survive there.
Yeah. Even if anybody asks me, we are planning to move to Germany, which city do you recommend me? I would say you should not be choosers. If you get the job or if you get an opportunity to study, you should do it like that. But if you have the choice, then I would recommend Berlin because it's a vibe, as you mentioned, poor but sexy, and a lot of English-speaking crowd, expats. So it's very easy to settle initially, and then obviously after you learn the language, it's easy for you to gel up with Germans as well. I want to understand the importance of language in Germany or in Berlin when you are into the space of entrepreneurship. I heard that there are like almost all the big players, they don't want you to speak English when it comes to the business and communication. So is it a myth or?
I wouldn't say it's a myth. So one of the reasons that I'd never really felt that I need to learn the language to that extent, because I never needed that for work. You have people from so many different countries and everybody talks in English, so you never really feel the need to do it, unless when you have to go through some sort of bureaucracy. Everything is in German when you have to deal with, I don't know, banks, and when you have to deal with other taxes and organizations. So language is required. If you don't know the language, you're sort of handicapped. You're dependent on other people.
Yeah, that's true. But for the real business, you don't need that, right? For example,
it depends on the market you're in. So it's a B2B business and your customers are German family SMEs, those kind of companies, then of course you need to know the language, and also at a very good level. But if you are into B2C and let's say you never get to meet your customers in person and then it's all online, then of course a different story.
Can you tell us about your business or your venture? I see that you have certain qualifications, but how closely it is matching with your field of work?
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. I studied engineering, but I never worked in engineering. I was always working on the business side of things. Even right after my aerospace engineering, I started with my startup. I never really wanted to work in an engineering job. That wasn't my aptitude. But as you know, in India and Pakistan, if you are decent at studies, then you are either going to be an engineer or a doctor, those kind of things. I did engineering, but I always work with startups. I have started and failed multiple startups in electric mobility, logistics, prop tech, smart cities. Just think of all the buzzwords you can think of. And but for the last few years, I'm focused on venture building. I do corporate venture building. So now we build startups for corporations, or we build startups for other companies. Because startup is not something which is only for a bootstrapping founder. Bigger companies also know that in order for them to survive, for them to keep growing, they need to increase their revenue streams. They need to diversify. So they also understand that either we invest in existing startups or we build our own startups. And I work with corporates to build a portfolio of startups for them. Depending on the market you are in, depending on the customer segment that you want to focus on, you can start revenue streams. You can just validate what is a problem that needs to be solved, and then you build a solution around that problem.
How difficult it is to build a company or venture in Germany?
It's not the easiest country to start a company, that's true. But if you have something solid, like if you have a validated idea, you have some sort of traction, you think that you can, get customers on board, then I think it's worth it. Starting a company is always worth it if your business is viable. But if you're not sure if you're going to be able to make it viable or not, if you're going to be able to get the customers, you'll be able to make money or not, and then of course it's difficult. But all those things can take care of themselves. You can hire professionals, you can work with people, you get a good lawyer, you get good accountants, so all those things can be sorted out through them. Yeah. To make money, you gotta spend some money.
So I guess bootstrapping is not easy, I would say.
It is. Starting a startup inherently, it's one of the most difficult thing to do as a profession. But it's also kind of a lifestyle that you make a choice that you want to do something of your own. You have great conviction about something, that if I build a startup around this field, I'll be able to make it big, or I can solve this problem, and I can make such level of impact. Then it's all worth it. There's so many startups here in Berlin. I see people working on sustainability elements, trying to make the environment better, trying to make the mobility better, logistics better, trying to make our cities in general better. So why not?
What is Asia Berlin community and what do you do there?
Great question, Asha. So Asia Berlin is an initiative by the Berlin Senate. And Asia Berlin has been here for many years, but now for the last few years, we are a bit more active because Berlin startup ecosystem is budding. So the whole idea is to be able to connect Berlin startup ecosystem with the other startup ecosystems around the world, especially in Asia. Asia means India, Pakistan, Japan, Korea, China, all these countries, they're there. So the whole idea is to provide a platform where people come, they network, they talk to each other, they meet, they build synergies, they identify opportunities to work together. And our goal is to be able to provide that platform for them. And I, as an Asia Berlin ambassador, I'm the first touch points for startups, investors on both sides. Let's say if there are some Pakistani startups who want to come to Berlin, or Pakistani investors who want to invest in Berlin, of course, I can make myself available there to be able to connect them with the right people, and also on the other side as well. So people from Berlin who want to enter Pakistani market, even other Asian markets as well. So we have ambassadors from other countries as well. So it's a closed community, and by closed I mean it's very connected.
And it will be free of cost, the consultation or whatever the discussion. Or
Yeah, I mean it's a yeah, of course. So it's a non-profit organization. It's about just reaching out to people, connecting with them, and getting visibility. And then when there is a summit, of course, people come, and then we have this talks and speeches, presentations, and different stalls where people just showcase what they have done, talk about what they want to do, and connect with the people they think could be helpful for them. If somebody wants to start something, then I'm probably not the right guy to talk with. If somebody already has something and they think there's a market in Berlin and they're looking for certain partners or stakeholders, then of course I can be reached out, and then I can, if I know somebody, I can connect them with them. They can be part of the events that are happening. And so it's more like, just a platform where people come together and then they find synergies themselves.
I see.
It's a self-evolving sort of organization.
I got it now. Okay.
So, for example, if there is a startup from Berlin and they think that I want to go to India, they can reach out to us and we can connect them with the people. Okay, these are the maybe people you would like to talk to. And then they can take it from there.
Nice.
If somebody wants to come to Pakistan, wants to get market entry in Pakistani market or whatever, we can do the same for them. Also, the same for the other countries too.
I got this question in one of my consultation that I provide for those who wants to settle in Germany. So I have this platform, and that person, he's having like 15 to 20 years of experience as far as I can remember in the operations, and he knows how to actually set up a unit for the manufacturing and all of those things. And he wanted to start something in Germany, but he don't know anything. He's not from the IT background. He don't know about technology and all of those things. And when you look at the different websites or different communities or different platforms where country like Germany says that we need those type of high skilled workers, but it's really hard to reach out to that gateway. I don't know why, but what would you recommend for this type of positions or this type of people who wants to move to Germany in the manufacturing industry?
And to find a job here, to start a business. To start business. So as a founder, first of all, now we are getting into this validation space already, but I'm going to give you a high-level framework for this. The first thing you always see if there's a customer for what I want to do or what I want to offer. If you can validate, yes, there is a customer that, if I build something, there is somebody who will pay for that, then, the first part is done. So, there's a market, there's a customer base who's looking for the solution that I'm going to offer. Secondly, then you see that if I offer it, can I actually make money out of it or not? So that's where you see the viability. How much do I have to invest in terms of time and effort and money to be able to make it profitable? And that's a viability element of it. That's where you bring in investors. That's where, that's how an investor would see that. Let's say, I don't know, I'm investing X million euros here. How long before I get my money back, and how much profit would I be making in the subsequent years? Once that is also done, then you look at that, can you actually build it? Is it technically feasible or not? And all of these things, you have to time box them. You cannot do them indefinitely.
Indefinitely, true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So if somebody who wants to be a founder here and they want to come here, they want to see, okay, what is the value I'm offering? Is there a market for that? And if there's a market, is there somebody who is going to invest in that? So these are the lines they have to think about.
You are from Pakistan, I'm from India. And I know that there are many stereotypes. I would talk about people from Europe, and they have some stereotypes that I have experienced as an Indian. For example, when I say the word India, I'm from India, they think it like it's a country of a slum, maybe if it's a country of a jungle and they think of elephants or different gods or spices maybe. So there are different stereotypes. Most of the time those are truth, some are truth, but some are just stereotypes. So do you have any of such examples or stereotypes that you have faced in Germany or maybe in Europe?
To tell you the truth, I haven't really experienced it in a negative way. But I see that sometimes people are curious, they want to know about it. And in those conversations, I feel there is always some room to elaborate on it. So, I always tell when people talk about India, it's a country of 1.3 billion, 1.4 billion people. Please tell me if that.
1.3 billion, yeah, I
1.3 billion. It's hundreds of languages. And when we talk about Pakistan, it's okay, the size is smaller than India, but it's pretty much the same. So when you go to Karachi, it's totally different than Lahore and then Islamabad and up in the north. The only things that are newsworthy, they're extreme. So unless something extreme happens, you won't hear about a country or you won't hear about a city at all. So this is what, which makes stereotypes. And it has nothing to do with biased or inherent bias itself. It's all about, the human nature, how psychology actually works. One of my professor at KTH, he made a huge case out of it. He said that you need to focus on the local news because that's what matters for you. That's what impacts you. That's what you need to be concerned about. What is happening in the other part of the world? Of course, you need to know. But if that's all what you're hearing, then it takes so much mental space that, you start to build the stereotypes and you have this. Yeah. So
how is the quality of journalism in Pakistan? What do you think about it? Because if you ask me the same question about Indian media, I see there is a downgrade in the quality of journalism. And I also think that people are losing the sense of being rational these days. This is my genuine feeling. So do you also have this type of feelings, or what's your opinion?
Yeah, Harshad, I mean, this Urdu mein, we say that in Urdu, dukti rakh pe haath rakhna. So that means that for me, when I look at the news, there was a time when there was just one news channel and the only news bulletin that people were concerned about, there was 9 p.m. 30 minutes of video of news, and that's it. Now, I think it's more like this new genre, infotainment. And this news is a form of entertainment.
TRP driven.
And the race is to come up with the breaking news. This is one aspect. People are always in a rush, and unless again it's talking about extremes. The other aspect is that the quality of journalism. I expect from a journalist that they should give us the news, not the analysis. There are different people who does the analysis. There are different kind of background or skills they have. Sure. And if you are reporting a news and your tone of voice or your choice of words, it conveys some kind of analysis, for me, I lose the interest right away. Of course, everybody has their biases. Everybody has their opinions, likes and dislikes. But a news journalist is supposed to bring you the information and leave the analysis up to the listener or to the professional.
Yeah.
And for me, there was, for example, something happens, you will hear two news anchors conveying totally different meaning of what actually happened. So who are you going to trust or who are you going to listen to? Naturally, you are inclined towards what resonates more with you. So it just amplifies what you already think.
People started getting now into the binary mode. So 0 and 1. Either they are 0, either are 1. There is no gray area, which is, I think it's not good. The head towards one certain institution, like religion, I would say, has been increased in India. And that's why I see the current sense of sentiments in India is not good. Sentiments towards a certain group of or type of people. So it's not only about Hindu and Muslim, it's also about small tribes within the community. And this is a little bit of scary, I think.
In Pakistan, it's more about the politics these days. And it's a majority Muslim country, you see. So there are like all sorts of people everywhere. And what you hear on the news, it doesn't tell you about the country at all. And I would say the same about India as well, any other country as well. But I personally, I try not to go into the details because the kind of mental space I want to keep myself in, it just hampers, it just fucks up with that. To be honest,
that's true.
That's how it is. And this is something that I have to do for myself. And that's what I tell people to do as well. Because if you shun the negativity, eventually you will have room to fill your day with something productive, fill your mind with something productive. Talking about what's going on in India, in Pakistan, I think we see a general trend in increasing polarity all over the world. And exactly like you said it's binary. It's either 1 or 0. You with me or against me.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works. And that's not how it should be.
But now, when we talk about how we Indians and Pakistani meet each other in the other country, like in Germany, I don't see that differences that the way it is portrayed in India or maybe in Pakistan.
All this time, studying with other people, working with other people, it changes your perspective. I'm sure you have been here for quite many years.
More than 5 years.
Yeah, and the stereotypes that you have when you are in India or in Pakistan, or the perspective that you have, it's totally different. It's also within the same country. If you go from one city to another, you realize it's not what you think or it's not what you're told about it. So for me, that was never an issue. Never. Never even thought about it.
True. Same for me.
So for me, I like to connect on the personal level with the person. And Harshit, once you're here, those things are really, really far behind. You don't really think about it. And I think this happens as long as you are pursuing something that you want to do, then these things take a back seat.
Exactly.
You have to challenge, and you have to challenge those opinions at some point. Otherwise, you don't really grow.
Yeah. I now want to turn this conversation into a little bit of fun, I would say.
Why not?
Let's talk about, because you are from Pakistan, I'm from India, and when Indian and Pakistani are sitting in the room, why we should not talk about cricket? Do you enjoy cricket?
I love cricket.
You love cricket.
Yeah.
If I want to ask you to choose your favorite player from the new guys.
In India?
No, from Pakistan.
Pakistan,
yeah.
Man, there are so many. There's so many, of course. But in terms of attitude, of course, Babar Azam.
Babar Azam.
And I love that, his head is right there where it should be. And we have never seen somebody so consistent in batting.
Really?
From Pakistan side.
Okay.
Of course, there was Inzi and all, the middle order.
Yeah.
But Babar Azam is a different class.
Okay.
And then there are new guys. I was watching this test series a couple of weeks ago. The way Abdullah Shafiq plays in test, and then the Saud Shakil as well. I think they're So we have some really, really good talent.
Okay, so Babar Azam is your choice for the new generation boys, right? And for the 90s generation, like...
Of course, Wasim Akram.
Okay, nice.
How can you go wrong there?
Now it's getting interesting. I will give you 3 Indian players, and you want to find equivalent on the basis of skills and maybe techniques.
No, man.
Yeah.
Okay,
so first player is Yuvraj Singh. What do you think?
Yuvraj Singh.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he used to bowl as well, and he was really explosive, like in the lower middle orders.
I can already think of one.
Iftikhar?
No. Maybe Shahid Afridi?
No, Shahid Afridi is a different class. Yuvraj is great, but Afridi, I think, is maybe a bigger star.
Because Shahid Afridi also used to bowl. So
but he has 350 wickets, man, almost 400 or something. And he still plays.
Okay.
Yuvraj is great.
Yeah.
Is amazing,
obviously.
But Afridi is, I think, better than
Yuvraj.
Yes.
I'm interesting to see the comment section after this.
I know.
Anil Kumble.
Anil Kumble. Oh man, the 10 wickets. I can never forget that. Anil Kumble, I think when Siklan was there, but Siklan didn't play much after.
I also have that name in my mind.
Yeah. But I think Anil has much better numbers. He played for the longer time. So definitely Anil Kumble was, when you look at the stats, it was better. But when Siklan was at his peak, he was unplayable.
But closely matching.
Yeah.
You can think of Siklan. And Virat Kohli.
Oh man, I don't think you should be compared with anyone. No.
It's not about comparing, but
Yeah.
finding the closely matching candidate from the Pakistan
No
team.
man, I don't know. There's no.
Because I have seen that people are comparing Babar Azam and Virat Kohli.
Babar Azam is like it's a different class, but Virat is it. No man, you should not compare Virat with anyone.
Obviously. What about Bollywood?
What
Do you
about
enjoy?
it? As a kid, I used to watch a lot of movies. Yes, I used to listen a lot. I still sometimes listen to old Hindi music. I'm not so in touch with what's going on right now, but back in the 90s, early 2000s, yes.
Do you also hear like old or
Yeah.
vintage songs? Maybe like Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan or...
Nusrat is from Pakistan.
Yes, I know.
Okay, I thought okay. Yeah, of course. So Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, and then
But Rahat also sang in
Rahat-
Bollywood, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't listen to Rahat live. I think it. Yeah,
It's going
just
to
just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But Nusrat, of course, it was great. And
So if I ask you to choose between Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Saab and Ustad Ghulam Ali Saab,
okay, so there are different kinds, man. Nusrat Ali Khan, he has a much better music sense. I assume if you listen to the compositions, they are just so timeless. Ghulam Ali is more classical side, and
yeah.
it's beautiful.
But if
So
you want
I
to choose
would-
between...
to listen to, I think I would go for Nusrat.
Okay.
Yeah, you can always find something for the mood when it comes to Nusrat. With Ghulam Ali, there's not much of a choice between moods.
Which actor do you like in Bollywood? From the younger
So I told you I'm from 90s, so it's all about Shah Rukh Khan.
Shah Rukh Khan.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, like, but now when you look at actors like Nawazuddin Siddiqui.
When somebody asks me which actor do you like, so I consider it as an actor. So I will take the name of like, as you mentioned, Nawazuddin
Siddiqui,
and then,
Pankaj Tripathi,
Pankaj Tripathi.
then there was Irfan Khan and
Exactly.
Nasiruddin Shah. So these guys are actors,
I think I am through all my questions. And if you have any questions.
One day I would like to conduct a session just on venture building itself, because I think when you talk about what kind of, I think you mentioned it, that what is it that is going on right now, and especially from people from India and Pakistan, I believe that one of the biggest value we can add in this German ecosystem is by being founders. So if we have people who are entrepreneurs in India and in Pakistan, especially, there are a lot of opportunities here. The kind of resilience that we have in the working environment over there, if we try to build something in Germany or in Europe, I think that would be great. And I know engineers are always needed, the IT and all other qualified areas as well. But if you have this something that you want to build, and if you have conviction around something and you want to be a founder, then also consider that line of work as well, not just being an engineer working for automotive industry or being a programmer and all. Consider being a founder and think like a founder.
I really thank you for your time, Harish.
It was a pleasure.
And,
Harsha, it was a pleasure.
thank you so much.